Hey everyone, it's been a while, and in my last post, I gave a quick update um, to tell you that I was working on a Broadway musical and that I was starting a new job, and that I said I would give you details at a later date. Well, today is the later date, and today's a good time for details. I've just been really busy, life gets in the way, so I am actually going to do this now. First things first is I started a temporary job with the city of New York, which I'm excited about. This was today was my official first week there, and while it's a temporary job, it is a job, and it's not exactly the job I thought it was going to be per se. But it's better than having no job at all. And once you get your city employee ID number, it stays with you for life, and you get priority when it comes time to looking at other city jobs. So that's a plus. I do work outside, and I had to work last week in what felt like 115-degree weather. Um, but again, it is a job. I have to wake up early in the morning, and I'm used to it because when you do act, when you're working on a film set, sometimes you have to wake up at 4 a.m. to be there at 5 a.m. Sometimes I've gone to set and been up all night, which I did a couple of weeks ago. You know what? But I'm grateful. Um, I'm grateful because because I never gave up, and I've been spending months trying to find a job. And you know what? For at least 2 to 3 months, I don't have to go to those interviews anymore, and I don't have to be thrown out of and be. I never gave up. I persisted, and they gave me the job. And while it's not all it's cracked up to be, I'm grateful for the work, even if it is a monotonous and repetitive job for 8 hours a day. So I'm grateful for that. Um, and honestly, something happened earlier in the week, maybe yesterday, I believe, that this is why communication is important because I was given a task to do, and I had assumed that it was given to me as a way to push me out, aka to quit. And my supervisor had basically told me that I wasn't going to address the situation with you. It was just too busy in the morning and I had to catch up on paperwork. And when we did talk about it, he explained to me what was going on and why. And I said communication is very important. Otherwise, you get chaos, to which they agreed absolutely 100%. So, and I said to him today, I said, you know what? I'm grateful today and I realized today, I went to my supervisor and I said, I realized today I had an epiphany, which is you're letting me do this job on my own, and that you're giving me this park as my own to maintain and clean, and that in itself is proud. So and he goes, well, we'll see. I got to check at the end of the day how you do, but but that's basically what I said. But enough of that. You don't want to hear about my boring job. What you really want to hear about is this Broadway thing that I mentioned, and it's very exciting. I came up with this idea. Actually, I came up with this idea in real life. All the stuff that happened to me, I call the show Spin, and I can actually talk about it because I have it registered with the guild. So it's fully protected, so I can technically discuss it. You know how they say, write what you know, and so I keep talking about how my narcissistic ex and the friend who she turned against me, and they say, write what you know. And I one day I just woke up, and this came to me. I call the show Spin, and it just came to me. And in 24 hours, I had a concept all ready to go. Within 24 hours, I had a 20-page concept with production notes, safety, and everything I wanted. I had the vision in my head. And then I used Suno to record the songs. And every song that I have, I made like 20 songs and their alternates. And I wrote track one, track two, track three, and then track eight, end of act one. Every song title has to do with the specific storyline. which is the opening, which is Spin, which is the opening, and then I have another thing which is now I don't want to tell you much of it because you may one day see the show, and if I give too much away, what I will say this is the marketing hook is no two shows are the same, and that's really great because it's a good marketing hook because it gets the audience to keep coming back to see which show. For instance, if you go to the show, you tell your friends, "Wow, I just saw the show; it's great." You're going to be able to see so and so doing A, B, and C. Your friend is like, "Wow, I got to get a ticket." You get the friend gets a ticket, comes back to the show, and they, "Huh? My friend said they." My friend said they saw this and this and this, so why is this and this happening? You go back and tell the friend, I don't know what show you saw, but the show I saw wasn't what you see, and then they want to go back and see, and it's sort of like it changes. But the one thing I did that casting directors enjoy is that I made the show gender neutral and open to all ethnicities because it's so much easier to cast it. And the show plays differently. So, for instance, if I make the protagonist a male, you'll have the antagonist a female. If the antagonist is a male, you get the casting of a female, and vice versa. And you can have the partner, aka the love interest, as a male, female, or even same sex. However, the songs will change. Maybe the dialogue will change just a tad, but the show would play differently. And in my experience, because my narcissist was a female and sometimes a male, it actually makes sense in the long run. And I have a very clear vision of what I want. And I have to, and I'm learning this as I go along. So I had my first two meetings with a potential writer and lyricist. Unfortunately, the first one never bothered to message me back after that week when he said, "Give me a week." He never bothered to respond to me. And I emailed them for an update, which they haven't responded to me either, which means they're no longer interested. But I also messaged the other person at the same exact time, and their response to me was, "Your music is fascinating." And they're very much aware the music is AI. However, the way Broadway works, and I can write, I know how to write a screenplay, I know how to write a book. But a Broadway show is different because you have to know exactly where to place the music in the scene. And I don't know how to do that. And so what I basically said in the meeting was all these songs are just blueprints. They're rough drafts. So that whoever's writing it, which is maybe you or somebody else, they have a blueprint to go off of. Like, okay, so this song is about so this song is is about a rant. Okay, well, where do we put the rant if it's needed? So you as the writer will figure this out, and you can either use the lyrics of the audio with the music, or use the titles and change the lyrics completely. But because it's my concept, I get final approval on everything. Now I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited about it because for me this is something new, and I always said I'm trying to do more things that are out of my comfort zone where I can challenge myself. And this is one of those things that I can do. This is one of those things where I'm challenging myself and that it's a learning experience for me. And I'm actually scared shitless about this. I'm actually scared because I have no idea. Now, will this ever see the light of day? I don't know. But imagine for a second. Imagine for a second. I'm walking down Times Square and I see a billboard and I see my name on the Broadway marquee theater on the marquee theater that says "Spin," a new dark psychological thriller by, and I will feel so accomplished if that day ever comes because I'm pitching this as a Sweeney Todd meets Rent, and if anybody's seen either one, you understand the pitch. And they say right, but and a lot of the dialogue I'm putting in the song has been said to me. Well, I said it. But what I'm most proud of is that I took one of the love songs and I wrote the lyrics for it. I didn't have that was the only song that AI did not do. AI did do a song, the exact same song, but I took the exact same song and I copied and pasted the lyrics that I wrote and use it. And it's very hard to write a love song, but it came to me in 10 minutes like that. And the lyrics I knew had to be the most raw, heartbreaking, and would make you cry because it's the third to last song in the entire musical. And it's basically saying, and the name of the song is called You're Still You, which is basically saying, after everything I've been through, at this point, you would have a protagonist who doesn't yet have a name. They've been through a lot. They're physically worn out. They're physically looking like they lost the will to live. And that's basically what the song is about, where either he or she's on a bed, and the partner is there also, and all you have there is a bed and a table lamp that's flickering, and saying, "You're still you, and because I love you, I'm saving you from this. Let me die, and let me die in peace, and you go away. Goodbye." And they're saying, "No, I'm still here too. I'm still here," and basically saying, "What's left of me." I mean, you're still you, which goes into the next song of "What's Left of Me," basically saying, "If this is all that's what's left of me, then I want to give it to you. Will you marry me?" And that dialogue works whether or not it's being played by a male or a female. You know, so it was very important for me to get that. And it's always very hard to write. First of all, it's very hard to write a song because the songs have to rhyme for whatever reason. They have to rhyme. But it was very hard to write this love song, and I wrote it in like 10 minutes. I had this moment where I just had a clear head for like for 10 minutes, where I'm writing lyrics for a love song between two people, and maybe I'll post it, maybe I won't. And I'm not really going to post the songs either because they're not final. They're not anything right now. They're just a work in progress. They're just rough tracks, but they're fully recorded with AI. All 20 songs with alternates and everything. But the point that I was making here is that I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of it because I took something that's raw, that's vulnerable, that's about me. And if you're talking about doing something that's out of your comfort zone, then this is it. Because you're literally sharing your personal experiences that are still ongoing, that's happening in real time, and you're using it to write this Broadway musical. And I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. But I found somebody who said these songs are great, which means they likely could work around those songs. And it's and so far they said they have no questions, which I'm going to assume is a good thing. But even if the person says to me, no, I've already put it out there. I've already put the wheels in motion. And because this is registered, I can freely and legally distribute it to anybody in town without fear of everyone saying no. Because if you tell them feel free to share it because it's registered, there is no chance of having a lawsuit. So, but I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud. And you know what it is? Because actions speak louder words. People say they can do things. People say, "Oh yeah, I can do it," but then they don't follow up with it. But I never said I was going to write a Broadway musical either. I've never once thought about it. Never once had a conversation about it. It was just one day I decided to try my hand because it was so in my head. It was I just couldn't get. Billy Joel once said Um, he had this idea for a song, "The River of Dreams." I'm sure you all heard of it. And he said it just came to him in the middle of the night, and he said he had to write it down, or he would have forgotten it when he woke up in the morning. And he's not wrong, because I did the same thing. I woke up in the morning and I had this entire idea that I had to do it right then and there while I was still laying in bed. And that's exactly what I did. And yes, I admit AI helped me, but I executed it. I wrote the content. I gave them the idea, and they helped me write, and they helped me execute it. And even now, I'm still coming up with ideas, and I edit a scene here and there. I decided that this scene would work better instead of the original one. You know, Broadway is always evolving. You know, a book is always evolving. Film doesn't. Only the technology does. And so I understand what Billy Joe was saying. It's like you have this idea because if you forget it, and Danny Elfman did the same thing. He recently said in an interview that when he was when he was trying to come up with a theme for Batman, he said it came to him when he was flying on a plane. And so he kept going, and he had his tape recorder with him. Of course, this was in 1989 or 88. He kept going to the bathroom to record it so he wouldn't forget it. Because if you forgot the theme, then what? And people thought he wasn't feeling it because he kept going to the bathroom every time he thought of another note, another note, another note. And so I didn't want to forget it. Could I come up with it now today? It's hard to say if I would have written it today or yesterday. It's hard to know because it was in a moment. But I will tell you this: if I did it today, would it have become a different type of thing? Absolutely. Would the vision have been way different than what it is now? Absolutely. Could I do this again? I don't know. Could I come up with another Broadway idea? Maybe, maybe not. I have absolutely no idea. But I did it. And I'm proud of that because how many people can say they're coming up with a Broadway show? They're writing one. How many people can say that? And yes, I had it in my head, everything. And I also put down the insurance, the safety issues, yeah, that I'm aware of. And I know that to do this, we need to have I understand the liability of this, the safety of it, the insurance. I know about it. I put it all in my production notes. And I know I shouldn't share this with you guys because it's very premature, but I'm excited. I'm excited. Even if it goes nowhere, even if it goes nowhere, but at least I put it out there. At least I gave it a shot. So even if it goes nowhere, absolutely nowhere, I have 10 years of registration that if I don't do it now, if I don't do it next year, but comes 2028, I know that I still have 8 years left in the registration where I can still go and say, hey, I have this Broadway concept. If you're looking for new and original stuff, I got something for you. But here's the thing. I know this is very different, but as an actor on television, I've learned a lot of things just by observing. And I always say it's amazing what you can learn just by observing things. And I did. And yeah, Broadway is an entirely different medium, I admit. It's a different entire union. They're the equity union. That's why when we had the strike, a SAG after member could do a Broadway show during the strike because the union was an equity, not SAG after. So it's a completely different union, so you were okay. And a lot of people started in Broadway. But here's the thing. I have actors in mind for each role because there's a lot of improvisation. There's a lot of physical. You have to have somebody with good comedic timing and good physical prowess. and improvisation. So I do have a few actors in mind for certain roles that I'm not going to tell you here. Will I ever get them? If let's assume this does go into a workshop, can I get these actors? Probably not. Could I dream about getting them? Absolutely. Would I be surprised if they said yes? 100%. But I'm not even near that stage because I don't even have a script. Right now, it's just a concept. Right now, it's just a vision. Right now, it's just a bunch of songs sitting on a server somewhere, and that's all I got. But it exists in a concept form. It exists in my head. It exists on paper, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is what counts. That is something that's my baby. That's my pride and joy. Do you know why? Because it's very hard to do a Broadway show, let alone a musical. You can do a Broadway play, that's easy, but it's a lot harder to do a musical. So that's my update. That's my update that I did. It's something that I'm proud of. It's something that I did not tell my ex because I'm not an imbecile. I don't have a death wish, and I didn't tell my friend either because who used to be my friend. I don't know where we are now because it's about both of them. And in fact, they gave me the idea. And I have a line in one of the musical numbers where the partner says, "Thank you for the gift." And I said that line to them in the chat saying, "Your silence is the best gift that you ever gave me, and it's not even my birthday. So thank you for the gift." And it's so accurate. But here's the thing, this is also cathartic because I'm doing it for everybody out there who's in the same relationship as I am, but they're also afraid to say anything. So my idea is to have people watch the show and then say to me, "Thank you. You did the show. You said more on the show, and we were thinking the same thing, and we're all going through the same thing, but we're afraid to speak up, and you did it for us, and you're the voice for us. So thank you." So if I could do that, then I've done my mission, then I've done my job. But I'm looking at this as a cathartic. And whatever it is, whatever comes of this, for now, it's just a dream. Until we actually have a script, until we have actual music, and until we decide we're doing, and I'll believe it, we actually have a workshop, or we're taking this to a workshop in New York City somewhere, and having actual actors acting it out and acting out my vision. Until then, it's a dream that one day I hope becomes a reality. But until then, I wanted to share this update with you. I wanted to share this update because I wanted to show you that whatever you have to dream, don't let anybody stop you from it. And like Martin Luther King said, I have a dream. It doesn't matter what your dream, and he was speaking for all of us. Not about it was. I have dreams about segregation, about that everybody can be together. But he was speaking for all of us. If you have a dream, do it, even if it sounds crazy. But at least you can say you can try. And I tell people all the time that I auditioned for America's Got Talent twice, and I did it for the sole purpose to see if I can do it. But I did it more for the respect, just to self-respect myself. Was it nerve-wracking? Sure. Was it humiliating? Maybe, because they're laughing and you don't know if they're laughing at you or with you. But ultimately, I did it twice. And I tell people all the time. And the first time I told people that, they didn't believe me. And when I showed them the number that I was wearing to audition, they were like, wow, you actually did it. And you'd be surprised how many people respect you for that. Because a lot of people, because it's actions, not words, that gets you the respect. Anybody can say whatever they want, but acting on what you're saying is mad respect. And people respect you for that. And so I did it. I did it. I did it twice, once in person and once virtually. And I looked into recently how they choose people who audition to actually get on the show, no matter how stupid or insane it is. Because I always thought to myself, wait a minute, this person has no talent and they're on the show and they've gone viral. What about me? And so when you want to know how the process is done and how to make a great audition, be on video or in person, you look at how the show picks their acts, and it turns out they have a number. It turns out that everything is number based, meaning they have a certain amount of spots they'll have for magicians, certain amount of spots for comedians, singers, when it comes to putting people on the show to audition. And all of you can do it if you put your mind to it. And I know that you're, and I know my subscribers aren't here. I don't know who you are. I don't know anything about any one of you. But what I do know is that I'm sure that every single one of you have a hidden talent that you're afraid to reveal. And listen, if people can go on America's Got Talent and show the most stupidest and some of the most stupidest things on there, but get buzzed, knowing that they'll be forever on YouTube, knowing that they'll go viral. And believe it or not, people have become stars that way. People have become household names by being on YouTube and doing some stupid act. But people don't do this for the fame or the fortune. I don't need that stuff. I don't need the fame. You do it because you want to prove a point. You want to prove it to yourself. That's what I'm saying. You don't want to. You don't have to prove it to anybody. All you have to do is prove it to yourself. Can you do it? And it's a good conversation piece at a dinner party. Oh, you've been on America's Got Talent. Oh, you wrote a Broadway concept. Really? And people get intrigued by that. But how many people can actually say that in a social gathering? And how many people can say they went on a game show, or they went on a talent competition show, or they wrote a Broadway show, or a television outline? How many people can say that? So my point is, if you dream it, build it. Don't let your hidden talent go for nothing. Don't listen to the naysayers out there, because there's always somebody out there that's going to want to put you down. There's always going to be somebody out there who doesn't give a rat's ass about you. And there's always somebody out there who's going to try to talk you out of it. And that's the problem. Everybody listens to everybody because everybody thinks they know better than you on what's good for you. But that's wrong. You do what you want because it's your life. And as Billy Joel said in his song, I don't care what you say anymore. This is my life. Go ahead with your own life and leave me alone. And that's absolutely true. You want to go on audition? Forget America's Talent. You want to go on Hell's Kitchen? Knock yourself out. You want to go on The Worst Cooks in America? Knock yourself out. You want to go on The Voice or America's Got Talent? I will support you 100%. You want to try your hand at writing a comedy screenplay? Knock yourself out. I support you 110%. Go ahead. I wish you the best of luck. And that's the point of what I'm making here today. I didn't tell anybody I'm writing a Broadway show. I just woke up one day and did it. Well, the concept, but I did it. I told people I was auditioning on America's Got Talent. Nobody believed me. And when I revealed that I actually was there, they couldn't believe that I actually went. Would I do it again? Maybe, maybe not. But see, that's the thing. If you don't get on the first time, try again. Try and try again. Because if you didn't get on the first time, that doesn't mean you were bad. And I'll give you one last example before I sign off. There was years ago there used to be a Star Trek competition for writing a novel, for getting your novel published. It was called before the show even existed. It was called Strange New Worlds Writing Contest, which was write a story in any of the universes, which means the original series, Voyager, Enterprise, whatever it was, as long as you follow the guidelines. And I did it. And I wish I saved the story, but the story somehow got lost. Literally got lost. I wish I had it. And I wrote two stories. One set in the Next Generation universe, and one set on Voyager. And I don't remember, and I don't remember which one got thrown into the second pile. But the note I got back from the editor, who also is a writer on the for the novels, said, "Interesting story. You know, you missed the voice, just a tad on one. On the second one, it made the second read pile." And the note I got back was made second read pile, great read. It was interesting. Made the second read pile. Unfortunately, we could only choose 10. This wasn't on the same year, by the way. These were two different years. The contest has long been over. The contest is no longer, unfortunately. But these were two separate years, and these are two notes. And I didn't get rejected. It was anything great story. You just couldn't find the voice was almost there, but not completely, and that's why we rejected it, and that's okay. And the second and the second year was a note saying you made second read pile, but we only can choose 10, and they were a lot stronger, and that's okay. I appreciate the honesty. And then there was one more that I wrote that was set in the aftermath of Spock's death. That would it was a story, if I remember correctly, it was a story about Captain Kirk devastated about Spock dying, that he was considering resigning from Starfleet because he just wasn't in the right frame of mind and he just couldn't do the job anymore. And I really stopped writing because I realized it was too depressing. And I'm pretty sure, and then I realized Kirk probably would never say that, because he loved being a captain. And so I always say, so I stopped writing. I'm thinking that was very depressing. I wouldn't go anywhere. But I was recognizing it. But I didn't write another story because I had no other idea. For writing for the original series, I had no other ideas to write. Um, but that's what I'm getting at. Don't listen to anybody. Listen to your heart. Listen to your voice. If your voice is telling you have an idea, write it down. Even if nothing comes from it. Even if nothing comes from it. But at least you could say you tried. And you made the effort. And you're challenging yourself to do it. And that's what I do. I've challenged myself. I'm doing something that's out of my comfort zone. And I'm doing something that's unexpected of me to do. And if this goes into a workshop phase where it's close to getting to an off Broadway or Broadway, wherever, believe me, I may collapse into a heart attack off thinking that it's literally a dream. Pinch me. But I'm not going to pinch any one of you. Rest assured, I support you in whatever you decide to do. Dream big. Think big, dream big. Because you never know. You may be the next person getting that Emmy, getting that Oscar. Hell, you might even get an EGOT one day. but never say no. If you have an idea, try it. And if not, and if you don't want to do it, I'll help you with it. Send me a message. I'll help you. Because I've already completed two screenplays, not produced, but I've completed them. And I'm working on something else entirely. I'm working on something that's Superman related, but nothing I care. But and if anybody's interested to know, you can send me a message, and I'll tell you exactly what it's about. So dream big, think big, say it, do it, and don't listen to anybody else. Listen to what your heart says. And one day I hope that I get to see your name in lights, or on a book, or on TV, or anywhere. And one day I hope to say they took my advice and they made me proud, just like I'm proud of sharing these details with you. And I thank you once again for listening. It truly does mean a lot.